right, and now we are also starting our live stream. So hello to everybody also joining us on LinkedIn Live and YouTube. All right, it's a minute past the hour, so let's get started. And also thank you everybody for joining. So today, welcome everybody. Today we're gonna be joined by Samuel Venzi from GoLedger. And Samuel is gonna talk about enabling enterprise blockchain with GoChain. Before we start, again, thank you everybody for joining, and it's good to see everybody here. Before we start, I would like to take you through some housekeeping rules. So first, I would like to emphasize that everybody is welcome in our community. So I would like to emphasize to please follow the code of conduct when you're interacting with one another in this webinar, as well as in general in the community as well. And you can find our code of conduct on our website and on our wiki. All of the Linux Foundation webinars are held under the LF antitrust policy, and you can also find the antitrust policy on our website and on our wiki linked here on the slide. This session is being recorded, and it will be available in our webinar library, and you can find the link also here. As well, we will also provide the slides that will be covered here in our library. The webinar is also being live streamed on LinkedIn Live and YouTube, so you can. Thank you to everybody joining us from there as well. You can use the comment section to ask any questions you may have, or you may join the live webinar here as well. I will be sharing the link to do that in a moment. So we do encourage this webinar to be as active as possible, and the more interaction we have, the better experience for everyone. So if you would like to talk, please use the raise your hand button to get unmuted and then to speak up. You're also welcome to use the Q&A button or the chat button to ask your questions there. And again, for those joining us on live streams, please use the chat comment or join us live here. Now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Samuel Venzi, who is the CTO of GoLedger, and Samuel is going to take us through GoChain, as well as share some exciting use cases. So Samuel, over to you.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Just give me one moment. All right. So is my screen, can you see a presentation?
Yes,
just checking.
We can see.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Today's my pleasure to be participating in this webinar. And here we're going to talk about how can we enable enterprise blockchain with this platform called GoChain. And I'm going to be sharing some insights from real world use cases that use this platform. And I'm going to be doing a live demo that showcases how anybody can create blockchain networks easily. Okay. So before we get started with the GoChain, so who are we? Who is GoLedger? We are a company with more than 7 years of experience in the field. So we've been working with Hyperledger and now LFDT technologies for those 7 years. And our mission it's to enable digital transformation via blockchain solutions. So we've been specializing in this technology and especially the LFDT technologies for all this time. We have a lot of projects. Today we're going to share a couple of them as real world use cases that use GoChain. But one thing that it's interesting to notice here is that we have a lot of different types of projects, different types of customers, and that only I think that only shows that the blockchain technology can be used in many, many different areas in industries. So here, I'm gonna highlight a couple of them. So we have, for example, banks. So, for example, Banco do Brasil, which is one of the biggest banks here in Brazil, and Caixa, which is also one of the biggest banks here in Brazil. We have Petrobras, which is an oil gas company here in Brazil, which is also one of the biggest in Latin America. And we also have other customers that are, smaller and that deal with supply chain. For example, we have EcoTrace, and then we have other, smaller customers. And we're going to see a couple of them later. So just going to proceed. And a little bit about me. So I'm the CTO at GoLedger. So I'm responsible for all the technical stuff that we do in the company. I've been working with Hyperledger Fabric since 2018, and I've been working with Besu since 2021. Back in the day, I was a certified Hyperledger Fabric administrator, which is now a certification that doesn't exist anymore. But I am also a Hyperledger Fabric certified practitioner and a Besu certified professional, and I've helped the development of both those certifications. I'm also a maintainer of the Hyperledger Labs CC tools, which is a project that was accepted, I think, 1 or 2 years ago now to the Hyperledger Labs, uh, you know, collection of projects. And I'm also a mentor for the LFX projects involving CC tools. And we are actually heading to our second mentorship project involving this platform. Okay. But the reason that we are talking about GoChain is actually because there are barriers to enterprise adoption of blockchain, right? So, probably the people that are watching us right now, they have an interest in blockchain technologies, and they probably work for a company that also has interest in blockchain technologies. And these barriers, they are very hard. Sometimes they are very hard depending on the organization that you are working for. They're very hard to overcome. So we have complexity of the deployment of the network itself. So for example, the ones that are watching us that have tinkered with Fabric and the Fabric samples and the test network, we'll realize that once you get past the initial tutorial, to set up everything in a manner that is, production level is very, very time consuming. Also, you're going to deal with, infrastructure provisioning that needs to happen on a certain level and needs to be tailored with, the correct setup, and you're going to have governance challenges. So you're going to have to coordinate various organizations to make that happen. Also, there is a shortage of skilled developers with deep understanding of the internals, right? So you might have a technical team, but that's part of the work that we do, not only in GoLedger, but also the LFTT community, which is getting information out there so people so we can have more skilled developers. But nonetheless, they are rare breed now. And we also have a problem with, once you have that system up, how you integrate that with existing systems. So, it's very rare a case where a company throws out all their legacy systems in favor of a blockchain. So you need actually the blockchain to work and integrate with those legacy systems, right? And what is GoChain? So GoChain is an enterprise-grade blockchain manager, and it's designed to simplify and accelerate the deployment, operation, and governance of private blockchain networks. And we're going to see a lot more today about what GoChain actually does. But some of the key capabilities that GoChain has is the actual deployment of a private blockchain. And those networks can be based on Hyperledger Fabric or Besu. The management of organizations and the scale of the network as it grows. So you're going to be able to scale resources and, for example, nodes, peers, orders, and also scale your network itself by adding new organizations into it. Also, um, GoChain enables compliance through built-in governance and policy controls. We're going to see what that means in just a moment. And of course, simplifying all the administration with a no-code interface, so you don't have to actually deal with all the hassles that come with the management and doing that, on CLI or using more technical tools to operate your network. And this is I'm going to talk a little bit about Hyperledger Fabric and Besu, just so we can put everyone on the same levels for those that don't know those projects. Hyperledger Fabric is probably the most widely used open source permission blockchain framework. And it's a project it's the project that actually started the Hyperledger Foundation. It was a project that was mainly contributed by IBM, and it was, the reason that the Hyperledger project started, and then it became the Hyperledger Foundation, and now the LFDT as we know it. And one of the main characteristics of Fabric is that it is private and corporate networks, and they have their own architecture, own model, and they are suited to to the governance model that the corporations need. So that's one thing that's very interesting that we're going to see happening on GoChain. And we have, of course, Besu. Besu is a open source client for Ethereum. It's also a part of LFDT as a project. Is a project that was mainly contributed by Consensus. And it is one of those projects that not only can be used on the Ethereum public environment, but also can be used to create your own private networks. Okay. So what are the pillars of GoChain? So I like to say that GoChain has these three pillars. The first being organizations, the second being business groups, and the third being, the extra tools that we will enable the deployment of the first two. Okay, so organization is pretty straightforward. Basically, it's going to be the participants of our network. So if we are thinking about an enterprise setting, those are going to be companies. They're going to be, government agencies. They're going to be maybe even departments internal to a company. And that's where we're going to have, the node creation, API creation, monitoring, and all that, right? And then we have the business group. And the business group we can also think about the business group as a consortium. So it's a collection of organizations that are coming together to share data in a blockchain network. So they are going to be, business partners. They are going to, share the responsibility of the management of that network. And they're going to be able to create the resources that are shared amongst them. So like channels and chain codes and all that, right? And those extra tools, they are going to basically enable us to create organizations and business groups, right? So on the extra tools, we're going to be able to provision cloud infrastructure. We're going to be able to use no-code tools to create smart contracts. We're going to be able to also use customizable code. And also, we're going to be able to integrate everything via APIs. Right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the real world use cases that use this technology, right? And then we're going to move on to the actual demo. The first one that I like to talk about is it's a project that is called NodeChain. And NodeChain is a Hyperledger Fabric network. and it serves as a backbone for a digital service which is called e-notariado, which is maintained by an organization here in Brazil, which is called Colégio Notarial do Brasil. And this is a very interesting use case. It's a use case for notaries. So it's exclusive for notary offices here in Brazil. And the idea is that those notary offices, they maintain their own nodes and they are part of the same blockchain network, which is, Nodar chain. So the idea for Nodar chain is to register documents and to register signatures in the network. And not only that, which is, the first use case that was implemented, but also to enable the digital transfers of real estate deeds using smart contracts. And that network is maintained and supported by GoChain. So, I'm going to talk about this deeds, real estate deeds, which I think is one of the most interesting uses of this Node chain network. But the idea is basically that you have a smart contract that enables you to record, enables notaries to record this, fulfillment layer of contractual obligations during a sale of a real estate, or anything similar to that. So the idea is that a real estate contract is digitally structured and registered on the blockchain, and that contract will have payment terms, and those are going to be tracked by the platform itself. And once these payment terms they are being fulfilled, for example, you're going to have 12 you're going to have 12 payments throughout the year. Those payments are going to be confirmed automatically during via a smart contract, and when everything's paid, you can actually transfer the property of the real estate that is being sold. So that's very interesting because there is a real-time interaction, between buyer, seller, and of course the notary that is going to be registering all of that. So that's one. This is part of the interface that is being integrated into the blockchain network. So this is an explorer for the Nodar chain where they actually can check the transactions, they can check the channels, the chain codes, and the read and write sets of the transaction. And this is actually being integrated directly into the blockchain network that is being deployed by GoChain. Another very interesting use case that we have is an energy efficiency label, which is called ProCell here in Brazil. It's a program from the government that basically awards products, buildings, and equipments in general that meet high performance standards in energy savings. So basically, those products they go through a process that once the process is validated and they are certified as a product that has a certain level of energy savings, they are awarded a ProCell label, and that's very interesting because this project ProCell is something that has existed here in Brazil for quite some time. But one thing that that was happening is not only the inefficiency of how it was done, because it was basically done through email, where people the manufacturers would send the documentation, and that documentation would be analyzed, and then a publication would be made on the official website with basically a spreadsheet with all of those products that had the label awarded. And that posed a problem, not only a transparency problem for customers, for example, because customers would go into a store, see the label on the product or the equipment, and not have a direct way of checking if that product had the label, if that was actually true. And what was happening here in Brazil was actually they were faking those labels. So there was a problem of faking, there was a problem of transparency, and that was not fair to the manufacturers that actually went through the process, right? So, trust on the label could be questioned. So using blockchain for that, the labels that are now actually are awarded with a QR code, and that's backed by a approval process that is recorded on the blockchain. So whenever a customer goes into a store, they can scan the QR code and actually go into a web interface that takes information from the blockchain and actually shows which project had that label awarded. So that's transparency for the customers and also fairness to the manufacturers that went through the work of having that label awarded to them. And here we have this is an example of the label that we have here. So you can see that we have this QR code, which actually goes to the platform and shows all the process all the certification process that the product went through. So those are the two real world use cases that are being powered by the GoChain platform. Okay. So how can we create blockchains in GoChain? The GoChain platform is composed of 4 separate environments. The first one is called GoFabric, which is used for managing Hyperledger Fabric networks. The second one is called GoBesu, which is used for managing Besu networks. We have a third one, which is called GoInfra for provisioning infrastructure. And we have something called Builder, where we can create smart contracts and chain codes. So the idea is for us to check all of those now. So that should take 20 to 25 minutes, I think. And then I'll go through the chat and see if anybody has questions on that. So let me just change my screen sharing, and then we can proceed. Just give me 1 second. So let me check. Right. So now I should be sharing a browser. So you can see, probably you can see the screen of GoFabric. So what we have here is I'm pretty much logged into my account here in GoFabric, here in GoChain, and I am let me just move this out of the way. Okay, and I am inside the GoFabric environment here. Okay, so what we are going to do now is basically I'm going to create a simple network here from start to finish, and we're going to see how that can be done here. So I'm going to follow all the steps here that we have on this welcome page. So pretty much I'm going to click on getting started. And here we're going to be prompted to create an infrastructure. This is pretty interesting because our platform will allow you to connect to cloud providers. And that's going to provision infrastructure on your own provider. So that's very interesting because the network stays with the customer. It is not, it's not hosted by GoChain or by GoLedger. So that's what we are going to do. And of course, you can use an external provider if you don't have, if you don't use any of these cloud providers, you can just provide your own external, on-premise virtual machines, and those are going to work as well. But for now, we're going to start here with a connection to AWS. So what I'm going to do here is basically I'm going to create the structure. Basically, I'm going to connect that to my AWS account. So I'm going to take the access key that I have here, and I'm going to take the secret key, and I'm just going to fill the rest of the information here. So I'm going to give it a name. So this is going to be AWS webinar LFDT. Oh, LFDT. I'm going to select a region. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to do LFDT webinar demo. And this is actually something that's going to be created in my own AWS. So it's going to create a security group with firewalls firewall rules that are going to be, configured to work with the structure that we're going to create here. And also it's going to create an SSH key that we're going to be able to use to get into our machine if we need to. So I'm going to create this infra, pretty straightforward. And now here I'm going to be able to provision those. I'm going to provision VMs basically for use on our organization later. So I'm going to go with the small one, and I'm going to choose the SSH key that we have just created, and I'm going to create, two virtual machines here. So I'm going to call this LFTT webinar demo. I'm going to create two of them. It's going to be this image. I'm going to put 15 gigs of volume, and I'm going to add this the security group that we have just created. And I'm going to click on setup VM, right? So now basically what GoChain is doing, it is connecting to my AWS account, and it's provisioning those machines with the configuration that we need for it to receive the network later. Okay, so it's going to wait a couple of seconds here, and we should have the setup done in a few moments. Okay. While that runs, let me just check if we have some any questions on the chat. Okay, I think so far we're good.
We're good so far, Samuel. And also, I was looking at the LinkedIn and YouTube, and right now, no particular questions, but I'll pop them in the chat as they come in.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
So just a little bit longer, and we're going to be ready. So what this is doing, it's not only provisioning those machines, but it's actually installing some prerequisites on the machine, right? So it's basically installing. We can see that both of them are done now. So it's basically installing the environment in which we're going to be able to orchestrate the containers inside those machines, basically Docker containers. Okay, so I can close this, and we're going to be able to see that now I'm on my fourth step, which is the create organization step. So here I'm going to create an organization, and as a good developer, I'm very bad with names for demos, so I'm going to call this org1. Okay. And these are informations that for those that use Hyperledger Fabric, they are pretty straightforward. So organization name and the domain of the organization. But for those that don't know what those things mean, they basically mean the identification of your organization when it comes to the digital certificates that are going to be issued to that organization. They're going to have a common name, which is composed of the organization name and the domain. And I'm gonna be able to select here the one of the machines that I just created to host some of the resources that we are going to create here. So I'm going to choose one of them. And here we have something interesting. I'm opening up this advanced configuration. And you can see here that we have the version of Fabric that we are actually going to use. So here you have, we support the version 2.5, which is one of the LTS versions, and version 3.0, which is, it's not the latest right now, because I think just last month they have released 3.1, but here we are going to use 3.0, which is one of the latest. So this is going to be full organization. And here we have, we can choose the type of certification that this organization is going to use, which is pretty interesting. So you can use a CA, just like we normally would in Fabric, which is going to be a CA just for that organization, or we can actually provide a CA chain, which is actually external to the platform, right? So if you have a CA and you want to issue identities through that external CA, you're going to be able to provide that information here. We're gonna go forward with the traditional CA here, and I'm going to select those machines as well, the same machine that we are using. I'm going to give it a user and password, and I'm just going to hit create organization, and we're going to see uh, of all those containers being orchestrated inside our structure of infrastructure. So we can see that it's pretty straightforward and pretty quick as well. I can even close this and it's going to keep running here in the background. And you can see that I can invite members to be part of this organization. This is one of the interesting parts of GoChain, is that you can have your whole team being members of the organizations, and you can actually provide roles for your team. So everybody has a particular, role that they are allowed to perform. For now, I'm just going to skip this step. We're going to see that we have a dashboard here right now for organization one. And here I have the possibility of creating my first nodes. So creating peers and creating orders. I'm going to do that. It's pretty straightforward as well. I'm going to just choose where I want to deploy my peer. I'm going to add the CA credentials because we're going to need it to issue the identity of the peer. I'm going to click on submit, and then we're going to have it started here. And I'm going to do that with order as well. So I'm going to just create order here. I'm going to submit this, and peer is already created, and now order is already created. So pretty straightforward, okay? And one thing that is very interesting is that I can monitor the content of the container. So I can click here. I can see that my order is running. I can see the environment variables of that container, and I can actually check the logs of the container as well. And you can see here that we have the image here. So this is a standard Fabric network. There's nothing mischievous about it. It's using the official Hyperledger image on the 3.0 tag. So pretty straightforward as well. So we're gonna head back to our organization, and so far we have our nodes, but they are idle basically. So we're gonna need to create a network. So we're gonna create a channel and a chain code for this organization. So if I scroll down, I have this business group section, and I can see that my organization is not a part of a business group yet. So I can create it. It's pretty straightforward. So let's say that, this organization is going to start registering sales information. So I'm going to create a business group that I'm going to call that sales group, okay? And I'm going to give it a description. And the organizations, they can be part of as many business groups as they want to. So business groups can be actually created by scope, and your organization can be part of multiple, and that's not a problem. So here I have my sales group. I know that it only has one organization for now. It has 0 channels and 0 chain codes. So let's create those resources here. And we're going to start with one organization, and then we're going to move forward to have more organizations afterwards. So I have here the channels tab, and I can click here on create new channel. And I'm going to create a channel. I'm going to call this sales channel, okay? And I'm going to add my order and my peer to this channel. And what this does is that this creates something that we call a proposal, which is a proposal on our business group. And the proposal is basically one organization asking to do something in the business group, and that has to be voted. And because I have only one organization, this proposal was automatically approved, and it's the handle status is started. That means that GoChain is doing the operation behind the scenes, and now it is completed. So that means that we have created our channel here. So if I go into channels, so I can see that I have a channel now. Okay, that's pretty interesting, but a channel without chain code doesn't mean anything on Hyperledger Fabric. So we need to create our chain code, and we can see that we don't have any chain code here. So what we are going to do is actually, before we create a chain code, we're going to go into the builder so we can check how we can actually provide the code for chain codes here. So you can see that I have a bunch of code here. Those are my chain codes, but we're going to see the possibilities for us here. So the first one is the possibility for you to write your own chain code. You develop your own chain code using, the standard Fabric chain code development tool set. So you can use Golang, you can use Node.js, you can use Java. And basically, you can package your chain code and upload the source file here. And that's going to be a package that's going to be available for you to use on your networks. But also, one thing that we provide is the template chain code, which is basically creating a set of assets and building that to be a chain code so you don't have to actually touch any code. So this is pretty interesting because we're going to use this sales template, and I'm going to show you what we have here. So if I click on view template, I can see that I have a definition of assets here. So I have a definition of a sales asset, I have a definition of a product type, and a definition of a company, and I can actually relate them. I can use basically a relational design here in which I have my sale, and when I have the product, I can actually reference the product type. And when I have sellers and buyers, I can actually reference the registries of companies that we have on this particular chain code. So this is pretty interesting, and that's what we are going to use. I already have that built here for us. I'm going to head back to GoFabric. I'm going to go into my sales group. I'm going to go into chain codes, and I'm going to add a chain code. So I'm going to click here. So I'm going to add the chain code on the sales channel, and I'm going to choose my sales chain code here. So I'm going to go with a 1.0 here. And I'm going to select the peer that is going to basically have that chain code installed. I can define the endorsement policies and all that. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that because I want to have some time in the end to answer some questions. So I'm going to click on add chain code. And now we have a new proposal that is going to be executed to basically do the chain code lifecycle for this particular channel. So that is one process that takes a little bit of time because the process of lifecycle goes through, installation, approval, and commit of that chain code. So we're gonna wait a little bit. So we're gonna check a little bit later if this was finished or not. And I'd like to take this moment to actually go through some of the other screens that we have here, right? So we went through this CA this dashboard screen, and here I have a part of of our platform that actually shows the identities that were issued by our CA. So these are going to be the identities, and you're going to notice that we have some of them, they look duplicate, but actually it's because there are two certificates for each identity. One of them is a TLS certificate, and the other one is the actual identity itself, which is the MSP. Here we're going to have the peers, and if we want to create new peers, it's as straightforward as we had it in the first place. So pretty basic. And we can actually check the logs of our peer. So we should be able to see if our peer is uh, actually joining. Yeah, so we can check that the RPR actually joined the sales channel. And once our life cycle goes through, we're probably going to see more information here regarding our chain code and the life cycle information that we have. And this is real time. I can update it here so I can see that more things have come along. But so far, I don't think we've had specific logs on the chain code. So let's look at other stuff here while we wait. We also have, yeah, I already showed the order, so that's fine for us. And we're gonna be able to create APIs for interaction with this chain code. And those APIs, they are gonna be very useful because you're going to be able to integrate whatever systems you have externally to those APIs. Okay, so let's just check if we have completed. Okay, so we do have our chain code lifecycle completed, and I can see that now we're going to have it listed here. So now we're able to create our API to interact with the chain code. So it's pretty straightforward as well. I'm just going to select the host, going to select the type, going to select the channel and the chain code, and I'm going to submit this. Okay. And we have another resource here, which is called GoInidis. And the GoInidis is very, very interesting because it allows us to create an interface which serves basically as an explorer or of the information of our chain code. So I'm going to submit this, and I can access this environment. And I'm just gonna have to fix the IP. So this is connecting to my API here, and now you can see that I have all the assets that we define on our chain code. They are right here, and I can interact with them. So for example, I can come here and create a company. I'm gonna create GoLedger, which is pretty straightforward, and this actually interacts with our blockchain. This is okay, so now we have created a full network, a network that is creating new blocks, and we are interacting with it through an API. This API comes fully documented, so you can actually, I'm sorry, not this one. So you can actually access its Swagger, and on the Swagger, you're gonna have everything that you need to interact with chain code. So this is also a great tool for integrating that into our legacy systems if we have them. Great. So we created here a very simple blockchain network, but a blockchain network with one organization only goes so far. And what I have here actually is I have a second account. So this is a second account, and I have another demo set up here. So I have a demo here, which basically deals with two organizations, and I'm owner of both of them, which is a Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, and a car dealer. And both of them are on a business group called Vehicle Registration. And this is very, very interesting because, I have this set up. You can see that I have a lot of proposals here that were voted by both of them, like we mentioned before. But also I can actually invite a new organization to be part of this network. So you can see here that I have an invite organizations button. And what I can do is that I can provide the ID of the organization that we have just created to add them to this channel. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to head back here. I'm going to go into org1. I'm going to click on the ID of the organization to copy it. And heading back to my second account, I'm going to invite that org1 to this channel. So you can see that it already recognized as org1, and I'm going to send this invitation. And you can see that this invitation actually needs to be approved by both organizations here. So this is part of the governance model that we bring to basically exposing that to a user to be able to interact with, So for that to happen, for this pending proposal to be actually accepted, I need to go into my second organization, car dealer, and I'm gonna have to approve the invite for org1. So I'm gonna confirm this. And now you can see that the proposal of the invitation was concluded. And now my organization one should have received the invitation to this business group. So I'm going to be able to accept this. And now you can see that I have two business groups. Just like I mentioned, my organization one is part of two business groups. And what I can do is that now that I'm part of the business group, I can go into the dashboard, and I can go into the channel and actually request to join the channel. So I can click here, request to join channel, and I can request to join channel as an application organization and as an order organization. And I can select both nodes that are going to be part of this. So I can submit this. And now the other two organizations are going to need to approve my proposal. So, you can see that governance is pretty important here for us. So now I can see that I'm just going to update this screen. So I can see that my proposal is now here for approval. I'm going to approve this as car dealer. And now I'm going to go into the DMV organization. I'm going to approve this as DMV. And now we can see that our proposal was accepted, and now it's running, and now it's completed. So our organization one is now part of the channel. So I can head back here. You can see that on the channels part, I can actually go inside on the information of the channel. I can see that we already have 14 blocks here. And I can see that now the nodes are part of the channel. I can see my peer org1 and my orderer from org1 as well. And what I can do now is that I can actually go into my APIs and I can create a second API here for this other channel. So I'm going to do that and put it on the second machine that I created. And I'm going to now interact with that vehicle registration chain code, which is on this business group. And I'm going to submit this. And I can also create a second GoInitius for this particular API, chain code API. And I'm going to be able to now interact and check the information that we have. Let me just get the IP here. And now you can see that as org1, I am part of the vehicle registration chain code and channel, and I can see things that are already registered here. So I can see that, we have a vehicle with this car plate and, the model, electrical masterpiece, the color, and I can actually see that there's a owner registered to this vehicle. I can click here and I can see that the owner is Marcos, for example. And I can also head back here and check the history of this data. So I can click here and I can see that this was created by the organization DMV without a owner. And then the car dealer, maybe they sold the vehicle to Marcos and then they registered the new owner here as a reference to the person asset. Okay. Right. So this is a very brand and very superficial even demo on Fabric. We can get much deeper in the structures of the network that we can get and how we can operate it, how we can operate chain codes and all that. All that is included here. But I'd like to take a few moments just to show a little bit of what we have in GoBesu, right? So I'm gonna head into GoBesu here, and I have a similar interface. And here I have a network that was deployed between two organizations. So I have, for example, a bank, which I'm calling Bank A, and a payment provider. And they have their own nodes here. They have their own Besu nodes. And I can actually see the contents of the container. I can see the logs of the container. I can see that it's creating blocks here, just like the Ethereum protocols does. So but also I have a business group for these. And one thing that is very interesting about GoChain is that even though the consortium model is not very central to Besu, is something that I think is very necessary for organizations. So on the stable group, which I have just created, they are also going to have proposals to tend to, and they are going to also have approvals needed to deploy stuff in the network. And here I can see that I have a network which is called a stable net, and there is a contract which is called my stable token, for example. And for this stable token, one thing that I can do is I can actually also interact through an API and I'm gonna click. I'm gonna copy this IP, and I'm gonna head into the API so we can see how that works. So I can see that I have an Ethereum API here. I have a password, and I can see that my contract is already here, and I can interact with this contract. So I can check. I'm sorry, I have execution reverted problem here. And I'm actually not sure why. But nonetheless, you are able to interact with this, and you're actually able to add new contracts and deploy new contracts, and you actually can also use this API on many different networks if you need to. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we go through some of the basic stuff, so we cover everything. But yeah, I'm gonna end my demo here. And now I'd like to see if we have any questions, to see if there are anything that we need to clarify. I'd like to hear from the people here, maybe in the chat, maybe in the YouTube stream.
Yeah, there's actually two questions already in the chat, Samuel.
Okay,
will you check?
let me
Would you
see
like me to? Yeah, okay.
yeah, I can check them. So the first question is it possible to reuse existing existing security groups? When you are creating that through a connection to AWS or to Google Cloud or Azure, we create those resources because basically GoChain will try to guarantee that those resources are created with the correct configuration. If you want to reuse existing infra, for example, existing security groups and even existing machines, you would be using the external provider option, which is basically the option that you as a user will provide your own infrastructure, and it will be your responsibility to actually configure it correctly. Okay, so yeah, you can reuse it, but you're gonna have to provide everything else as well. Is there a Terraform provider that can be used to do what we're currently doing on UI? Uh, you can obviously set up your infrastructure using Terraform, and it's not included on the platform because if you are using Terraform, chances are you are a technical person, and for us to just serves as an intermediary for executing your own Terraform template. I don't think that's very, that's not what we want for the user that we are providing those tools for, which is actually something that becomes very, very easy for them to provision. And if you're using Terraform, that's great. You can use it and provide your machines as an external provider. Okay. I don't see any more questions, but one thing that I like to mention that I think is very very interesting is and it's a little bit on the roadmap of our platform.
Samuel,
Yeah, go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt, but I just saw that Dan also actually just asked the question in the Q&A box, so it's not in the
Oh,
chat.
let me check that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the Q&A box we have, does your platform support use cases that have need for both Fabric and Besu? Do you have or see use cases that could make use of both permission and public chains that are linked in business logic? That's a very, very good question. And it's also part of the roadmap that we have, which are ways of integrating both of those platforms, basically interoperating both of those platforms. Yes, we see use cases that could use both integrated and linked by business logic. One of those examples is actually related to a big project that's happening here in Brazil. So our central bank is actually creating a CBDC, which is in pilot form right now, and this CBDC is being built on top of Besu, which is very interesting. But we also have a lot of other companies that have their own blockchain infrastructure, and many of them actually using Fabric. So integration between and interoperability between those two networks is something that's going to be very central to us moving forward. And we'd like to propose a interoperability standard that's going to be built into the platform. So you're going to be able to deploy both of them here and actually link both of them inside the platform and use them, let's say, as one, you know? So that's a very, very interesting question, and something that, yes, we've been taking a look at, and it's part of our roadmap. The other thing that is a part of our roadmap, going back to the infra part related to those questions, is that we are developing support for Kubernetes connections as part of the infra provider. So soon enough, you're going to be able to provide your Kubernetes connection instructions, and GoChain will be able to deploy pods and deploy all the infrastructure of the blockchain resources inside your own Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so that's related to the infra part. Do we have any more questions?
Not right now.
Okay. One other thing that we are looking forward to include in the platform is the BFT the BFT protocol for the ordering service. So we already support the 3.0 version of Fabric, but the network that I deployed is using Raft. So we're working on the BFT, and that's going to be included pretty soon as an option for the ordering service of those networks. Okay, so I think we have a new question here. The Kubernetes support sounds great. Will it be the same manner that we could use EKS, ATS, GKE, or on-premise? That's a very good question. For the first version of this support, we are aiming at a pure Kubernetes cluster. So that could be in a whatever cloud you want, but not using those cloud services. Turns out the connection to the Kubernetes cluster through a kube config, it differs a little from a pure Kubernetes and to EKS, for example. So the first one's going to be pure Kubernetes, and then we're going to work on the following ones, because those are going to have a more specific interaction using, the SDKs from the cloud providers themselves. But yeah, those are going to be but they are going to come after the on-premise version. And I think we're good with the questions, right, Thomas?
Yes, we are good right now, and we're actually also at time, Samuel. So I think we will have to wrap up. If anybody would like to have maybe one last question, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, we will wrap up. And for those of you that we couldn't answer your questions, or if something else pops up after watching this video, here you have also the contact information of Samuel, and thank you, Samuel, for adding this. And we will also have these slides in our webinar library, so you can always go back and download them there, and you can contact Samuel there. All right, so if we don't have any more questions right now, then we're just gonna wrap it up. So first of all, thank you so much, Samuel, for this talk. It was a pleasure listening to both use cases and seeing a demo. And thank you to everybody joining, either here on Zoom or also on our live streaming services. Now, before we go, I would just like to invite you to join, to check out our events page and join us both on the following webinars as well as on the live events where we will be present. And you can find the upcoming events in our events page. I would also like to invite you to check out our meetup page to learn about the upcoming meetups, which are also both in person as well as online versions.
I also shared the Discord channel in the chat, and you can find the link here as well. So our Discord channel, there's a lot of real-time interactions, and you can explore a lot of information related to our projects, our special interest groups, regional chapters, and much more. So whenever you need a quick feedback on something, we invite you to join our Discord. And finally, for organizations or members of organizations watching this webinar, we would like to invite you to join us and become our member, and to explore the membership options, please follow this linked button. Thank you again to everybody for watching, and thank you, Samuel, for this great presentation. And we hope to see you again soon, do another webinar in the future. And thank you to all of us watching. I hope you're going to join us for the future events as well.
Thank you, Thomas. Bye-bye.